Hello, very good morning to everybody. Welcome to today's session of Onepoint Oneness. For those of you that are new here, my name is Matthew. I'm part of the team here at Onepoint Consulting. And the reason these sessions came about is that there's a lot of us in the company are regular daily meditators. And the idea came a few months ago that it would be nice to share ideas and insights and practical advice about meditation with lots more people, so more of us can benefit from the practice and learning more about how to meditate better. So that's a little bit of an intro, and today I'm very happy to say that we have one of the Onepoint team with us. So if I could invite Els to join us. Hi, Els. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Hi, everyone.
So just a little bit of an introduction. Els is originally from Belgium and joined Onepoint in 2018 as a GDPR Certified Practitioner to help the company with compliance and information security certification. Prior to Onepoint, Els worked for many years as a team leader at University College London, the School of European Languages, overseeing the administration in 6 language departments. Els graduated from the University of Antwerp with a degree in Socio-Educational Care. She's been practicing Raj Yoga meditation for over 35 years and conducts stress management and positive thinking training courses, both in the UK and abroad. So Els, I shall hand over to you. Looking forward to your session today. And I understand you're going to be talking on the art of letting go.
That's right, Matthew. Thank you. Now, there are probably many things we may need to let go of in life, but I'll focus on letting go of the past. And the first thoughts that come to my mind thinking about this topic is, what are the obstacles? What is it that prevents me from moving on, from putting a full stop? And the second question that comes is, are there any skills or techniques that I can learn that can help me in this process? Now, we all know that it's very difficult to move on, to let go, if there's any unfinished business from the past. And by that, I mean, there might have been moments in my life where I made a mistake. Maybe I took a wrong decision. I said yes, while I maybe should have said no. Or I was influenced by other people, and something that I regretted later in life. Now, there's 2 things I'll probably will need to do. Look at the situation, what happened. Maybe I was vulnerable. Maybe there was no clarity. And of course, now it's easy to say, if I knew then what I know now, but of course, this is not how life works. So what I need to do is understanding what happened, but forgive myself. Forgiveness comes into the picture. And equally important is forgiving those who were involved, those that probably at that moment had a huge impact on my mind or on my life. Because if I don't do that, and people often say that unfinished business is like a shadow, it keeps following me, it's a burden, and I'm not free, and of course not. And the result is a restless and peaceless mind. Now, let me read a quote from Nelson Mandela. And this is something he said to a reporter when he was released from prison, 1990. And this was after 27 years in the prison in Robben Island, South Africa. And he said, as I walked out the door towards that gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I would still be in prison. Now, Nelson Mandela realized that it was very important to let go of his resentment, the bitterness, because otherwise he couldn't move on and start that new chapter in his life at that time. And another quote, interesting, an unknown author, it is better to be an architect of the future rather than being a prisoner of the past. And again, a very powerful expression that feels like I really have to let go of that past, not suppressing my emotions or feelings, but just to understand I need to be able to move on. And one of the things we need to understand is that I cannot undo the past. Whatever I said a minute ago, whatever I did this morning, or even yesterday, 10 years ago, I cannot undo that. I cannot override that event. And at the same time, I need to realize that I cannot change other people. And that's a kind of trap, a tendency we often do, is we want to override the script of someone else's life. And it just doesn't work. That is something that is not going to help me. Of course, I can inspire other people, I can motivate them, I can empower them, but I cannot change them. Now, when we conduct these stress management courses, we talk about stress, and then people will often say, well, it's an immense workload, it's impossible deadlines, it's a very demanding boss and difficult colleagues, and it is the traffic, and it's the commuting, and it's a noisy neighbor, and it's my family, and that list is endless. And of course, yes, definitely, these things do create stress in our lives. And especially now, when we are in this pandemic, the corona crisis, it is as if there's globally now uncertainty, there is fear, there is anxiety, and this all adds to our stress levels. But there is also something else, and that's called self-generated stress. And that stress is actually created by myself, by my own mind. And that means that if I create a negative thought, if I sow that seed and I start repeating that thought, I will in fact create or add further stress in my life. And the problem with these wasteful and negative thoughts is that the more I repeat this thought, the deeper the imprint on my mind, and the harder it will be to move my mind onto a different track. And these can be thoughts of resentment, hatred, regret, all of that. But I need to understand that as long as I keep blaming other people for what happened in my life, or I blame the event, or my mind is criticizing all the time or judging, it will completely drain my energy. That's the problem with these kind of thoughts. Now, we need to find a way of changing these energy draining thoughts into empowering thoughts. Now, how are we going to do this? And I know from my own experience that if there is a very strong negative thought that keeps coming back, you can't win that battle. It's a no-win. Because that thought has become very strong, imprinted in my mind. And it is as if that negative mind has now been in the driving seat, has taken over control of my mind. And one of the things that we can look at is, and that's probably when meditation comes into the picture, practices like mindfulness, positive affirmations, they can be a great tool in helping me changing that mindset. But I think it's also important to understand certain spiritual or universal principles. And my own spiritual journey started many years ago when I was at University in Antwerp as a student. And I remember this must have been my second or third year of university life. And this was a couple of years ago after my father had died. He died when I was 17. It was a sudden death. He had a massive heart attack. And so you can imagine, I was devastated. It took me a very long time in life to come in terms with that loss, the loss of my father. And when I was at that work placement, my personal tutor, she saw my struggle. And one day she took me aside and she knew about my father. And she introduced me to the idea of the soul. And she introduced me to meditation. Now, I was not very interested in yoga or meditation at that moment in my life, but I kept an open mind. I listened to her and I started exploring that idea and then thinking back about my father and just thinking, okay, so basically we are not the body, we are a soul. So it's the body that dies, but the soul moves on. So my father, in a way, well, he didn't die. Yes, he died, but the soul moved on. The soul is eternal. It's spiritual energy. And so I kept thinking about that. And I must say that that idea, that concept was in a way very liberating for me. And it has helped me enormously in accepting the passing away of my father. But also later in life, when there were other challenges coming my way, the meditation has always been an enormous support for me. Now, I would like to read something that Daddy Chenki is saying. And Daddy Chenki was an amazing spiritual leader. She died in March this year at the age of 104. And she talks a lot about inner powers, because I believe that in order to let go of the past, in order to move on, we need a lot of inner spiritual strength. We need the power to tolerate, the power to accommodate and to adjust to whatever is coming my way, the power to face. I need a lot of courage, acceptance. And this is what Daddy is saying. I must not remember anything from my past, even if someone has made a very big mistake. Some say it's easy to forgive, but it's difficult to forget. But our personality must be so high that we forgive and forget completely, so that even the one who made that mistake does not remember. Our vibrations can travel thousands of miles. And then something else, her reflections on the future of power that she wrote in 2011. And let me also read a few quotes from her. And she's saying, we accumulate power through truth and non-violence. Truth has great importance. Let your heart be filled with truth and honesty. Your relationships filled with humility, and your personality filled with integrity. It is important that we don't allow ourselves to become trapped in anything or anyone at this time. Now is a time when we must develop the highest level of self-respect, so high that no one or nothing can affect us. Let your life not be one of bondage. Free yourself from your weakness and defects and experience happiness and freedom in life. And the last one, and that's something she often reminded us of in classes, is when she said, there is no nourishment like happiness and no illness like worry. We need to experience happiness over a long period of time. Now, I would like to pause here and maybe we can do a meditation together. But before we do that, let me explain a little bit about the practice of meditation. Experienced meditators usually talk about 3 stages in yoga, the yoga of the mind. And the first step is usually that I create a positive thought. I remember a very happy moment in my life, a happy event. I create a thought of happiness, gratitude, compassion, kindness, etc. And it is as if I'm talking to my own mind. I need to focus, I need to concentrate. That is step 1. Now in step 2, and that's usually a gradual transition, that's the moment where my mind becomes more relaxed and also my body feels more relaxed, but I'm still holding on to that focus and concentration. And slowly, slowly, it feels like as if the mind is slowing down at that moment. And then there's a third stage, step 3. And that's the moment when my mind has become very still, very stable, and again, a very smooth transition. And that's the moment where I'm completely, people often describe that these few minutes or 5 minutes as going beyond, being beyond. There's nothing distracting me, nothing from the past is pulling my mind or other people are pulling my mind. My mind is completely still, stable. And you can imagine that is a very powerful experience. That is when the soul recharges. And that's when I can let go. It is as if the mind at that moment has moved to a different level of awareness. And that's what we call that soul conscious awareness. It's a very liberating experience. It's also a very healing experience. And scientists say that it's at that moment of meditation or yoga that the brain produces delta waves. And they're only seen when someone is in deep sleep. So while I'm completely alert, conscious, my mind is completely still. So I would like to invite you to a short meditation. And the topic for the meditation I've chosen is letting go, freeing the mind. And I would like to invite you now to just follow some of these thoughts. And we are now seeing a beautiful image on the screen, a point of light symbolizing the eternal soul, the eternal energy. In the awareness of my physical identity, there are so many limits and restrictions. The customs and systems of the world, the expectations and demands of others around me, or my own desires and expectations of others. Many different things hold me in bondage. Some are visible, others are more subtle, but they pull my mind. They hold me back, they make me a prisoner. I need to learn the art of letting go of the past, letting go of any worry about the future, letting go of any subtle chains, because these limitations make me a prisoner. Let me experiment with this. I realize that this limited way of thinking is actually connected with the awareness of this physical body and the physical world. In meditation, I can practice another level of awareness, the awareness of the soul. I, the soul, am a spiritual being. The soul is eternal and completely free from negativity in its original, pure, and untouched state. That is my real identity. All the other levels of identity, like my name, my country, my religion, my language, are only on the external level. Meditation is the experience of going within, moving away from the distractions of the external world and practicing the soul consciousness. It is connecting with the truth within myself and realizing who I really am. Going within, I can feel that inner peace, that deep stillness, like a still lake. I feel how this is a very natural state of being. I can leave all the worries behind, the fear, the anxiety, and connect with my true self. I, the soul, am a peaceful being. This is my true identity. The soul, a point of light, is living eternal energy. I feel how this awareness lifts the burden from my heart. It is like a very healing experience, free from the restrictions of the external world, but also free from my own limited and negative thinking. In this awareness, I feel an immense joy and happiness, and I feel that immense freedom because I know that I am the master of my own mind. There is nothing to worry about. Everything will be fine. This awareness, this going beyond, is very liberating. It is very empowering. It is like recharging the battery, removing the darkness and coming into the light. Let me hold on to this consciousness of I, the soul. I am totally free. I am totally peaceful. Nothing and no one can hold me back. Eternally peaceful. And this will be an amazing help to let go of the past, to move on, and to look forward to the rest of my life in happiness, gratitude, compassion, and kindness. Thank you.
Hi, Els. That was amazing. Thank you so much. There was so much in that, and such powerful quotes from Nelson Mandela and then later on Daddy Yankee. But along with that, it was really inspiring hearing you talk about such a big challenge when you were 17 with the passing of your own father, and the way you were talking about that. It's really you could really feel that you'd been able to let go. And I think that's very inspiring to hear where people have relating very real stories from their own experience and have found meditation really, really helpful. And I know you were talking about the freedom you experienced when you started thinking about the self as a soul, and seeing your father as a soul, as an eternal being. And that's my experience as well. That was such an important first step, but also ongoing work to use meditation in that way. Is there any other thoughts you have on that? For instance, I was going to ask you, obviously you've been practicing for a long time, and recently in the world we've faced unprecedented times in terms of global challenge that everybody's been affected by. Have you found your meditation practice particularly useful in processing sort of the bigger global changes as well as sort of personal challenges?
I think that the importance is to have a regular practice, and every time, even if it's 20 minutes in the morning or 20 minutes in the evening or 10 minutes, it will help me, because we all know there's two things we need to do. We need to take care of our own health, of course, but we also need to take care of the health of our mind. And it's only then that we can help other people. And like, again, referring to Daddy Yankee, our vibrations will reach other people. It will reach the mind. And I remember when I joined Onepoint in 2018, I was very pleased to be introduced to that system of traffic control. And that means every hour, as you know, we have some music coming through the loudspeakers. And most of us, we stop for a few minutes. We just reflect or relax or have a few minutes of stillness and silence. And I feel that really helps. All these little drops help us. And it's amazing how it refreshes your mind, even in a few minutes. So I would say that regular practice is important.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and it's actually there's a free app on the Onepoint Oneness page, where the link will be in the YouTube chat, to B Zone, it's called.
Yeah.
Thinking with you talking about this hourly practice, because when we were all in the office, we actually have a system where there's speakers and music plays every hour to remind us to just, as you say, stop and take a few minutes to reconnect with ourselves, and just stop what we're doing and recharge. But obviously at home, we don't have the sophisticated system. So this app is really useful, because one of the features on it is traffic control, and you can set it to remind you every hour. So I've been using that at home. So everybody watching, that's a free app you can download for yourself. And as I say, it's on the Onepoint Oneness page. So thank you again very much, Els, for that really wonderful session. Lots of insights and a really, really serene meditation as well. And next week we have Parul Shah, and Parul's going to be talking about opting out of pressure. So quite a good follow-on in a way, because we have to first let go to be able to release all the pressures and stresses from the past, but actually continuing that forward, how to keep a state where we're not feeling under constant stress and pressure. So Parul also actually works as an IT consultant in the banking sector, and again, very experienced meditator. So that's next Friday. In the meantime, thanks to all of you for joining today. As those who've been before will know, that the recordings of all the sessions are actually available on the YouTube channel you're watching on. So feel free to go back and maybe review the videos. Lots of useful methods on meditation in there. And please do share the link with your friends and family. So have a great day today, have a great weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.